Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So our meeting is setting off for go live. So allow me 30 seconds. And I'm going to share 2 minutes. Welcome to Viplavah. And I'm going to share the presentation, and also Srila Prabhupada speaks for 2 minutes before any of our opportunities. So,
either he's a dog or he's in the estimation of the society, a lower class man or a very high class man or a cow, but we shall see that here is a spirit soul. Anyone who can understand the spiritual vision of life, he is Pandita. He is Pandita. And according to Chanakya Pandit, Chanakya, he was a great politician. And he says that what is the standard of education? Standard of education. Now he has given very nice 3 words. 3 words for standard of education. Who is perfect in education? He says, Matrivat paradareshu paradrabbeshu losavat atmavat sarvabhuteshu ja pashyati sa pandita. Pandita, this Pandita. This Pandita, explanation of Pandita. Now, who is a Pandita? Now, Matrivat Paradareshu. He is the learned man who sees all women as his mother, except one's married wife. One should see every woman as his mother. Matrivat, Matri means mother, Bat means just like. Matrivat Paradareshu, Paradareshu means other woman, except one's own wife, married wife. Matrivat Paradareshu, Paradrabbeshu Lostrava. And others' property should be accepted just like refuse garbage in the street. Just like we don't care for all the garbages, simply.
Hare Krishna. I hope you're able to listen to Prabhupada's nectar of instructions. Thank you very much, and welcome to Viplavah 2022. And I'd like to welcome you all, and also I would like to welcome His Grace Tapan Mishra Prabhu. He's our ISKCON Minister of Education Minister based out in Mayapur. I'd like to give a hearty welcome. Welcome, Prabhuji. So please officially welcome to the assembled devotees.
Thank you so much, Bali Madan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I'd like to first offer my humble obeisances to all the devotees who are gathered today for this symposium, and also to those who will subsequently be watching this through various social media platforms. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'd like to also invoke the blessings of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, for this symposium. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. I have the great fortune of speaking to you all from Sridham Mayapur. Thus, I invoke the blessings of Shri Panchatattva and the Lordship presiding here. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear Vaishnavas, devotees, this is our 4th Global Symposium for Education, arranged by the Ministry of Education of ISKCON. The first 2 symposiums happened before COVID took full force. As a result, we were able to host it live. Now, in the last 2 years, we did not have the opportunity to do so. Thus, we are doing this online. I would like to heartily welcome everybody who's here. In the efforts that the ministries carried on our focus has been to encourage devotees to read Srila Prabhupada's books regularly. And we have subsequently also tried to encourage devotees to take the diplomas and Shastric titles that Srila Prabhupada very much encouraged all the followers to do, namely Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, Krishna willing. In this process of development, the Viplavah Symposium plays a very important role. It plays an important role because every year we gather together and we hear from different educators within ISKCON on various other perspectives, projects that they're undertaking and developing for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Every symposium, we try to bring to you different perspectives from such educators. And this time also, we have the pleasure of hearing for several of them from different parts of the world. I sincerely hope that we will have the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and the Parampara for this symposium. I also hope that the symposium will help all the educators to highlight their work, their service to ISKCON, and it also help other educators who are joining us through now or through the online platforms to connect with each other and develop a varied type of initiatives, educational initiatives within ISKCON. On that note, I formally make this symposium available to all of you. Thank you so much for joining. I look forward to your participation through all the sessions. Hare Krishna and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Tapan Mr. Prabhu. Thank you very much for your auspicious invocation and welcoming to the guest. And as you know, this symposium, the Viplavah, is for 2 days, today and tomorrow. Those who are based out in India, it's 2 hours, 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. and 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So similarly, it will be converted into wherever you are in the globe. So without wasting time, I would like to humbly welcome Dr. Pushkarani Panchamukhi Mataji. She is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj, and she has done her PhD from the University of Mumbai as a senior research fellow under the RBI Chair of Political Economy. Her area of specialization is economics of education. She also has a podcast by the name Story Glory. She was associated with Bhaktivedanta Gurukul, an international school, for several years, and is an author of 2 books, Vedic History and Hidden Secrets and Hidden Treasures. So we all welcome. Please, I believe you are there. Mataji, can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself?
I have unmuted, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very esteemed gathering. And I hope that I can share something which is of some use to
So you'd like to share your presentation, Rati?
I will share my presentation.
So I made you co-host. You can go ahead and do that, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, the title of my presentation is Gita and Wellbeing, Developing a Course for University Students, which is what I got an opportunity to do, to develop a course for university students here at Bangalore. Thank you very much again for Viplavah. So this is based entirely on, Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and this particular quote kind of inspired me very much, where he says, we are claiming college students, university students, because we are presenting religion on the basis of philosophy and logic. And that was precisely my idea when we began with this course at a private university here at Bangalore. But the way it began was very interesting. It started with a very formal introduction of each other, all the faculty members at the university. And in that formal introductory session, where we were supposed to introduce our work, etc., professional and qualification, etc. It was there where I mentioned that I also like to read the Bhagavad Gita very much. And after that, a few professors, very senior professors, they came and asked me for a regular Bhagavad Gita session, if possible, every week. Though I didn't, I was very happy from inside, but I was not sure whether that's going to be really, happening, because they're all very busy. But it so happened that not just the professors, but the dean of the School of Liberal Arts and Sciences, the dean of the School of Design of our university, as well as the registrar and a few professors, very senior, all of them joined, and we would have these weekly sessions discussing the Bhagavad Gita, chapter by chapter, and it was really very useful. And the most useful outcome of this was they invited me to take a course for students. Now, how is this? Yes, a course in the university formally was something which had not happened before, in the sense that we do have devotees preaching the Bhagavad Gita, in different higher educational institutions, but formally, officially, as a credited course, that's what makes it very different now. And I'm going to give you a background of how this is possible. So the National Education Policy, the NEP 2020, it envisages a whole lot of transformative initiatives in higher education. And the first one here, it talks about introducing holistic and multidisciplinary undergraduate education that would help develop all capacities of human beings: intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, ethical, and moral, in an integrated manner. So apart from the other, skills and core courses, this is something which NEP has introduced, very kind of a very unique idea. And under this, it calls them as the ability enhancement courses. So we have something called as the discipline-specific courses, core courses, skill enhancement courses, but there are also something called as the ability enhancement courses, where they talk about inclusion in the curricula, certain credit-based courses. And these courses are in the areas of community engagement and service, environmental education, and value-based education. And under value-based education, they wanted to include development of humanistic, ethical, constitutional, and universal human values of truth, righteous conduct, peace, love, non-violence, scientific temper, citizenship values, and life skills. So if you look at all of these points, they're very, very favorable to Krishna conscious education. So now they have actually mentioned in most of the University Grants Commission of India, UGC, it actually mentions this course, which is called as health and wellness. And under health, they include physical, emotional, and mental well-being. They also highlight the significance of yoga, traditional lifestyles, traditional form of medicines, also pranayama, yogasana, Ayurveda, and certain state governments have even gone ahead and spoken about the significance of Bhagavad Gita, right? Very committees have brought out their reports saying that such education, which is based on the Bhagavad Gita, is very beneficial. So this kind of helped developing a course such as this in our own university, RV University here in Bangalore, which is called as Happiness and Self-Awareness, right? So I kind of gave this nomenclature to this course, and it's accredited. It has a 2 credit value, which means 30 hours of interaction. We developed course outline, course outcomes, and evaluation plan, which I will be sharing with you all. But before I could do something like this, because I am trained in economics, right? But of course, I've been in the area of education and economics of education. So that puts me, a lot into the area of education. And that's how I was also invited to take this course. But I thought I should be equipped when I'm dealing with students, I had to, that too in the university in a very formal setting, I thought I should be equipped myself. So I took a course from Yale University on the science of well-being. It's a very interesting course that I took up, and I will, I'm going to share the research with you all. And also, I'll also share what exactly were the kind of key lessons from this particular course, which was so much in harmony with the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. It couldn't have been otherwise. And my pedagogy involved lectures which used PowerPoints, discussions, moderated group discussions. We had quizzes, we had essay writings, and a whole lot of interesting ideas. Now, let me take you to the course outline. So I will just quickly share my course outline as well. Yeah. So I hope you all can see the screen again. And this is my course outline, which apart from the other basics, this is how I described my course. Yeah. On the one hand, I took a quote from Seneca, which spoke about happiness in the way Seneca would. And here we have a quote from a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. One who is not connected with the Supreme can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? I felt this is such a universal verse that can connect everybody, also the students. So the objectives very clearly of this course, we had 4 in number, where we discussed on the ideas of happiness and self-awareness. We discussed on how different philosophies of happiness, what do they speak, and how do they, how can we evaluate them and put them into practice? And also some tools. So we introduced towards the end the process of meditation as well, which included mantra chanting. So very clearly, the course had a few learning outcomes, which help them develop deeper insights into happiness, analyze how habits can influence happiness, evaluate different philosophies on self-awareness and happiness for their relevance, and finally demonstrate some tools for self-awareness and happiness. And as you can see, one of the reference books, the primary one, was Bhagavad Gita as it is. This was there officially as a part of the course, submitted to the university, which was again shared with all students, right? So in the topic by topic detailing also, I had Bhagavad Gita as the reference. So let's go back to my slides. Right, so here, after discussing the course outlines, I would now like to see what exactly, what were the kind of concepts that were covered in the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavad Gita in this course, rather. All right. So we spoke about awareness of self. Since this course was named as happiness and self-awareness, we began with knowing the self, right? Awareness of the self. With the help of the Panchakosha idea. So we had a great discussion with students. A class of 60 students attended this course, by the way, and they participated in the discussions on how we can actually identify ourselves, beginning with the body. Then we go to the next kosha. Yes, the pranamaya, beginning with annamaya, pranamaya. So we went on to very clearly understand that it's not just the body, not just the mind, not just the intelligence, but there is also the spirit, right? So going up till there, we kind of discussed that happiness can be defined not just at the peripheral level, but it has to go deeper. And then we spoke about a very interesting survey that was a part of the course, which spoke about character strengths, right? So there was a survey which students had to take, which was again a part of the Yale University course, where they identified their character strengths. And these character strengths were not the typical, communication skills and that strength. No, it wasn't that. It had a very interesting group 26, in number, which so much resonates with the 26 qualities of the Bhagavad Gita. But they were named as a gratitude and spirituality. There was humor, there was curiosity. All of these as character strengths. And students, they had to take this survey and identify their own character strengths. And the idea that was given was, if you engage, yes, in life, generally, using your character strengths, then you will be happier, which again is so much a part of the Gita, where, we have to function as per our dharma, yes, Swadharma. So that was very, very interesting. Then the next point was, of course, the mind as a significant or very instrumental in our elevation or degradation. So we spoke about the annoying features of the mind in the course, right? Annoying features of the mind, which highlighted how our mind would actually, make us think or imagine that we are happy, we will be happy in this so-and-so situation. But eventually that's not true. Yeah, eventually that's not true. And this was based on extensive research. So I had a lot of facts, which was, of course, derived from this course that I took from Yale University. And that was my whole idea of taking this course, right? I had so much of evidence which showed how the mind may actually fool us into believing that this would give you happiness. And they specifically listed money, they listed high grades in education, they listed great jobs. They also listed, as far as true love, which is, which is very hard to convince people that it's really not the end, the kind of love we speak about in this world. But this course spoke about how research is showing that all of these things could actually be simply our mind's annoying features, right? And that led us to the discussion on the awareness of the modes of nature. Now, I took this entirely from the Bhagavad Gita and presented as it is, because I thought that this is the most important aspect students should know, the modes of nature. So we spoke about the modes of nature along with, very simple stories, that we have heard from Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees on the modes of nature, how to identify them, and also what are the effects, right? And then finally, not to make this armchair philosophy, we had a specific routine in the class where we started putting things in practice, right? So each class had something called as a rewirement sheet. A rewirement sheet, which is again an interesting concept that I arrived at, was about how to rewire yourself into certain good practices, right? So beginning with, the kind of sleep you get, the kind of, physical work that you do, exercise, etc. Also, the kind of attitudes that you nurture, where I discussed gratitude and savoring. So when I discussed savoring and gratitude, which was, which took quite a few sessions, we had so many discussions, and I had, the opportunity to bring out some important personalities from our own, our own literature, where we spoke about how these people, these personalities, they lived with this great sense of gratitude, which meant that they didn't really expect anything from others, or they didn't require anything external to keep them happy, because they were so inherently grateful. And that was something which drew a lot of attention in the class. They also began to write their own gratitude journals, and they also, got involved in certain practices which we called as kindness practices. This is also a part of putting things into practice. So here are some of the resources that I wanted to share with all of you. Like I mentioned, first of all, this course, which is available on Coursera, Science of Wellbeing from Yale University, it's extremely helpful because when you're dealing with students, you can't quite talk in the air. Yes, they need research, they need evidence. And like what Srila Prabhupada said, and some of you all just mentioned, that this is presented as science. This is presented not as some, as a dogmatic faith, but it's presented as science. And this helped me communicate with the students, make this course very relevant to them, right? And they all looked up to Bhagavad Gita, not as a religious text, but as something that will improve their own mental health and well-being, right? And so these other resources are where, like I mentioned, the state of Karnataka speaks about health and well-being, highlighting on the Bhagavad Gita. And here we see an article which came out from in the Times of India, again speaking about how values are the important aspect of education as a part of the new education policy. Finally, this is my broad idea of pedagogy, which I really believe in, is smart teaching, I call it. Yes, so obviously it's an acronym, as you can see. S stands for simple. So I believe when we are communicating with students, keep it simple, very simple, in the sense not to use any jargons. Especially when I was dealing with this as a course, which is going to help improve their own well-being. Yes, improve their own happiness levels. In the sense, we're not talking about words from the Vedic scriptures, which will probably, kind of put it off for them. And then mindful, which is connected to being simple. Yeah, mindful, because we have to be mindful that students come from different backgrounds, including different religions. So I had two students in my class who belong to the Islamic religion, and they were so receptive to the course. They participated in all the group discussions, and they even contributed, added so much value to the discussions. So one has to be very mindful of these backgrounds, and also very mindful that it's not just about students being from different religions, but also different political affiliations. So one need not have all of these, kind of biases in the classroom, right? And then accessible. I was accessible to them, not just that, but I also thought that Bhagavad Gita should be accessible to them. So very fortunately, we had, some devotees donate Bhagavad Gita to the libraries. Now we have some copies of the Bhagavad Gita in the RV University library, which is very helpful for students again, right? So they will definitely pick, and that's what we're waiting for, right? Then relevant, R is for relevant, meaning, I highlighted the important significance of research as evidence for students. Yes, when you make it very relevant for the students, that's when, they take it up with a very open mind. Yes. So when I spoke about research, and in the same breath, I spoke about how I made them read actually a lot of verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, also from the Bhagavad Gita and some other Vedic scriptures, which spoke about this connection between money and happiness. I had presented them with a lot of research. I gave them an assignment, which was titled Money and Happiness, the Case for India, because this, the research that I presented was mostly in the context of Western countries. So then we spoke about why this course is relevant for India too. Simply because India, unfortunately, is now the second most depressed country in the whole world. So when we discussed about this, it was not about US being on the top of the most depressed countries. because it was very prosperous and there's so much money. But there's India, which is also, it's not a prosperous country really yet, in the sense of, the development and other indicators typically measured. But India is also depressed. How do we understand this? Yes, with a lot of research, they presented the reasons why money cannot bring happiness, and there would be several other factors too. And that made the course extremely relevant for them. And finally, being tactful, as in, Srila Prabhupada often mentions that you should trick the children, but some of them, most of them were adults. Yes, so there was no question of tricking them as such, but being tactful in the sense, like I've been mentioning, presenting the course without any agenda of any political affiliation or even a religious affiliation, presenting this course purely on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, which actually enhances everybody's well-being, right? So this was something which I thought the students, they took in, they presented their evaluations. Through their evaluations, I understood we had final group discussions, small groups in the classroom, where I gave them different topics, and we discussed on all those areas which the students discussed themselves on all those areas which we thought were a part of Bhagavad Gita, but with sufficient evidence, which came a lot from the course, right? So I think that's my experience, but it's also something which is kind of open to all. Everybody can actually, whoever wants to preach in universities, they can actually take up or to take advantage of this particular facility that NEP has provided. And if you have any kind of contacts with the university, you can offer to teach this course. Like yoga, physical exercises, it's being outsourced in our university for another group of students, and they are learning physical, yoga, yogasanas and stuff like that, but which has been outsourced. So I'm sure in different universities where they're looking for courses like these, they could outsource them to devotees who could actually take this up and present it very scientifically. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions if you have any, or comments, corrections. Thank you.
I have a question, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much.
May I stop sharing if you
Yes, please. I don't need the presentation for the question. Thank you so much for your very enlightening work that you're doing with the university in Bangalore. I'd like to ask you, under this design from UEP, is it possible that our temples and centers can collaborate with different universities? Does this course have to be necessarily offered in the university premises, or can we also offer it in our temple or center facilities and invite university students if we have something happening nearby?
As far as I know, all credited courses are supposed to be offered in the premises of the university predominantly. But there is also a facility to take the universities on a certain, case study, or, which is like one day off or a few days off, but primarily in the university campus.
How do you feel about, working with the ministry in offering this curriculum to our different centers so that it can utilize their own contacts at the university, appoint a mature devotee from the respective temple to try and see if the university can offer something similar, taking what you've done as a successful case study?
I'd be more than happy to share. And that was the whole idea of offering this as a presentation here on this platform. So we're very happy to share this, Prabhuji.
And is this something from your research? Is this something that's permissible in some other countries as well? Let's say North America?
Why not? Actually, like I said, while I wouldn't know how it works in their universities, I would definitely say that because I took this course from Yale University and they so much resonate with the teachings of the Gita, we can very well blend the two and curate a course for different universities across the world, globally. There's nothing specific.
We could start from India and then let's see how it goes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Roji.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for your wonderful session. So please stay in touch with us. And again, our next speaker would be Brajasundar Prabhu. I believe he is on the call right now. Thank you. So, Brajasundar Prabhu is a teacher of Bhagavad knowledge, spiritual counselor, and founder of Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya and Sri Vrindavan Dham. And he frequently travels across South Africa, South America, Europe, Russia, United Kingdom, and other Asian countries for preaching seminars on Srimad Bhagavatam. He has trained more than 1,500 devotees with his Bhagavad Teachers Training course across the world, helping with various waves of studying the teaching Srimad Bhagavatam. At present, 6,500 devotees are globally following his techniques of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. He also serves as an editor of the fortnightly magazines Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, which is circulated on every Ekadasi to more than 30,000 devotees all over the world. So we would like to welcome Brajasundar Prabhu. Thank you very much for joining the Viplavah 2022. So floor is yours. So you can, if you would like to share, you are a co-host now, and you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for putting all your efforts in spreading the Bhagavad Dharma, and especially Tapan Mishra Prabhu, who has completely changed the way we used to look at education in ISKCON. So very, very grateful and thank you for his hard work. And we're very hopeful and positive that a lot of things will change and a lot of positivity will come throughout the ISKCON world in terms of Shastric education. So thank you very much. My point of discussion today is globalization of Bhagavad Dharma. I want to take you all to, I want to take you all to Bhagavad Mahatmya, wherein Narad Muni, he meets Bhakti Devi. Narad Muni, he traveling across the globe, different parts of the holy places. He finally comes to Vrindavan. And when he comes to Vrindavan, he sees a young lady who was sitting there. And as soon as this young lady sees Narad Muni, she stops him. And Narad Muni was very curious that who is this? Because there was a very unusual scene there. She was sitting on the banks of River Yamuna, and Narad Muni sees that there were two old men sitting on a lap, and there were hundreds of young, beautiful ladies who were serving this young girl. And Narad Muni was very astonished. And then the discussion goes further, where she reveals her identity and she says, I am Bhakti, my name is Bhakti, and these two sons are Jnana and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation, and are the natural offsprings of Bhakti. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatya Suvairagyam Gyananam Chayadayatukam. So devotional service, naturally it has two sons, Jnana and Vairagya. So that's where Narad Muni meets them. And I want to take you to the journey of Bhakti Devi's journey, how it started. In the 11th canto, it is very clearly said how Bhakti flourished from Bharatavarsha. And Bhakti Devi herself said that this woman are the glorious rivers such as Ganges, and they are all serving me. And I want to tell you my story, Naradji. And my story is that I was born in the land of Dravida in South India. I grew up in Karnataka, in the state of Maharashtra. I was treated with respect. And then gradually I lost my youth after I coming to Gujarat and other places. So we need to understand the brief history of Bhakti Devi, that there are great Vaishnavas who appear in the land of Dravida, under the banner of Sri Sampradaya. Ramanujacharya appeared. He promoted Vaishnavism, and then Madhvacharya ji appeared in the state of Karnataka and preached vigorously, nurturing devotional service. In Maharashtra, there were saints like Tukaram Maharaj and so many others who propagated the bhakti. And when it came to Gujarat, people in those days, definitely before Srila Prabhupada and even Acharya Vallabhacharya ji came in. So we're talking about those days. So the inhabitants of Gujarat were more interested in sense gratification. So the bhakti was neglected. So Bhakti was saying that this is my situation, and when I came to Vrindavan, when I arrived here, I regained my youth and beauty, but my two sons are still old, and I am very helpless to see this situation. And Vrindavan is the eternal abode of Lord Krishna, where devotional service naturally flourishes. That is the glories of the holy Dham. But if one neglects hearing Hari Katha, Krishna Katha, then the Gyan and Vairagya are covered. So in that conversation, Narad Muni tries to wake up Gyan and Vairagya. She first identifies the problem. Narad Muni is telling that all these problems are because of this ruthless age of Kali. And Bhakti was saying that although we are always together, why is it that I regained my youth when I came to Vrindavan and my son did not? And it should be that the sons are young and the mother is old, but this is not the case. I am astonished by this. So kindly explain. And then Narad Muni says that I see the cause of misery, and therefore I request you that do not lament. Oh, beautiful lady, this is because of the age of Kali that good behavior, yoga, austerities have been destroyed. And in this age, people are like sin personified. And so so there is a situation in this world we are facing, that the whole world is not interested in Krishna consciousness. The whole world is suffering because of the Kali Yuga. So we as devotees, we have a lot of responsibility in our hand. So we are all, when you're talking about Narad Muni, so the Narad Muni promised Bhakti Devi something, and that promise is accepted by all our acharyas in line, that we also are committed to that promise which Narad Muni gave to Bhakti Devi. So what is that promise? So Narad Muni, when he explained the situation that about this is all because of the Kali Yuga. So Bhakti Devi requested Narad Muni to please help her, and Narad Muni began to initiate Gyan and Vairagya. He tried to wake them up by chanting Upanishad mantra, Vedas, and so many different ways. He tried to wake them up, and they did not wake up. And Narad Muni, when he was in the very he was also a bit worried that what is happening. Why are they not waking up after chanting Vedas, Upanishad mantras, and so many different ways? And finally, there was an indication to Narad Muni. There was a sound from the sky wherein it said, Narad Muni, just go and take shelter of saintly people, and you will get the solution. So Narad Muni, he tried to meet various places and tried to find out what can be the way to spread the Bhagavad Dharma, the devotional service globally. I mean, how to wake up Gyan and Vairagya, and how to nourish Bhakti Devi. So he went to various places. So the saintly people, so the people in this world, they're all going to different people for trying to understand what is Krishna consciousness, what is spirituality, but they don't get answers, because Narad Muni went there and wanted to test all of them, all these saintly people, all of them were not in a position to answer or give solution to the Bhakti Devi's problem. So finally, Naradji, he decided that let me go and take shelter of Narnarayan Rishi, and he happens to go to Badrika Ashram. And when he reaches Badarika Ashram, that is where, actually, before Narad Muni left Bhakti Devi, Narad Muni praised Kali Yuga, saying that Kali Yuga is the place wherein I am going to establish, hear my vow, that if I do not preach your message, subdue all other religion, and make devotional festivals predominant, then I shall not be considered the servant of Lord Hari. So Narad Muni promised this to Bhakti Devi, that I'm going to establish bhakti in all over the world. And I'm going to establish bhakti, Bhakti Devi, in the hearts of every people in this age of Kali. So do not lament, do not lament for any reason. And this is my promise. And if I don't do that, then I'm not considered the servant of Lord Hari. Srila Prabhupada did also mention this promise of Narad Muni to Bhakti Devi at many places. And he said that we also have given this promise to Bhakti Devi, and also we also have to spread Bhakti Devi, the Bhagavad Dharma all over the world. So when Narad Muni meets four Kumaras, and Narad Muni meets in the four Kumaras, they saw Narad Muni, and they were initially very surprised at how Narad Muni is so tensed. But when when Narad Muni situation was understood that he's actually tensed because to establish Bhakti Devi everywhere. So Narad Muni was so when he saw four Kumaras, he immediately took shelter of their lotus feet. And four Kumaras, they said that please hear with great attention. Externally renouncing worldly things, performing austerities, penance, yoga, meditation, study of Vedas, and the path of knowledge generally only leads to fruitful activities and heavenly pleasures. So what is the solution? The solution is Srimad Bhagavatam. The Kumaras explained that simply by hearing the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, bhakti, jnana, and vairagya will be revived. And as a sound of lion roars and sends the walls cowering in fear, so too does the recitation of Bhagavatam, which destroys the defects of age of Kali. And but Narad Muni said, I chanted the Vedas, Upanishad mantras in an effort to reawaken Jnana and Vairagya, but nothing worked. How is it possible that they will be revived by hearing Bhagavatam? So Bhagavatam is after all the essence of the Vedas. So what is the reason? Please answer my query. So we as devotees of Hare Krishna movement, we also it is very important that we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam as well. This has been advised everywhere. So the four Kumaras, they said that Srimad Bhagavatam, they give three examples. Actually, these are three very prime examples. Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of the Vedas and Upanishads, yes, but being the ripened fruit of the tree of the Vedic literature, it is superior. The vital fluid of the tree is spread from the root to the tip, although it cannot be tasted. When that same fluid accumulates in the fruit, it tastes very delicious. Similarly, ghee, which is even very dear to the demigods, is found in the cow's milk, but cannot be tasted until it is extracted. Similarly, sugar is present throughout the sugar cane, but becomes more delicious when extracted. The same idea applies to the pastimes, which is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to the Vedas. So, our promise as this is the glories of Bhagavatam. So we as devotees, we should definitely accept this instruction, this discussion between four Kumaras and Narad Muni, and understand the importance of the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ji, when he went to the West, he took this Srimad Bhagavatam with him. Actually, he said that Srimad Bhagavatam was actually taking me to the West. And with this, I will say, with this weapon of Srimad Bhagavatam, he established Bhagavad Dharma globally. Before 1965, who could have thought that Bhagavad Dharma will spread globally? But in 11 years, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he changed the whole scenario of the world. he did broadcast the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam all across the world. And that's what we are getting that fruit of his hard work. So our duty as his disciples, our duty as his grand disciples is equally as an important duty. Just like in a wealthy family, the wealth continues from generations to generations, and in each generation contributes in that business. Similarly, our business is to fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada and Narad Muni, that Srila Prabhupada and Narad Muni wanted that we should establish the Bhagavad Dharma should be spread globally. And it is our duty to study Bhagavatam, to hear Bhagavatam. First of all is to hear Bhagavatam, and because by hearing Bhagavatam, we can understand Krishna very easily. So hearing on regular basis, this is three most important ways of serving Srimad Bhagavatam: hearing Bhagavatam, reading it on regular basis. Education Minister, especially Tapan Mishra Prabhu, I have seen him trying his level best to encourage devotees all around the globe to encourage them to study Bhagavatam on an everyday basis. And his own family is so dedicated. His daughters are dedicatedly studied Bhakti Vedanta, and they are so shastrically oriented. And I'm so happy to hear, very pleased to see all of them. And it is our duty that we read Bhagavatam on everyday basis and make Srimad Bhagavatam as our life and soul. And also, now the third part is the most important part, is broadcasting the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam to the best of our capacity. You don't need to be a scholar of Sanskrit to do that. Srila Prabhupada has given us purports. And let me tell you that the Srila Prabhupada has delivered the English language in one sense. English language, if you see as per Shastra, is considered as a language of natures. But no, Srila Prabhupada has delivered the English language by writing Srimad Bhagavatam in it. And we are all speaking in English. And we're speaking what? Hari Katha, Krishna Katha. So Srila Prabhupada has delivered the English language. So earlier the scriptures were written in Sanskrit, and it was considered authentic only when the scriptures are written in Sanskrit. There was so many discussion when our acharyas, when they used to write things in Bengali or in the local languages, it was very difficult for the people in general, the scholarly world, to accept that. But Srila Prabhupada in today's world has created a history by writing the essence of summarization. He has essence of all the writings of the acharyas in his writings, in his commentaries on commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada has, I repeat, that Prabhupada has delivered this language, and all of us, we can read in English language the glories of Krishna, hear Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam, and speak about its glories. So that's what we have to do. We have Bhaktivedanta purports at ready-made. So we just have to take shelter of it and read it nicely, understand it from the devotees, and speak about it. And in this way, we have to encourage others. Let me give an example that I would like to end my talk, and then I'll tell you what we are doing as ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya. So that it is very important that we as devotees, we first take care of those who are within our society first. It is very important. It's each and every devotee's duties, especially those who have spent a considerable amount of time in the movement, and they are preachers. It is very important duty of theirs is to take care of devotees who are already in the movement. I'll give you an example of a hospital. That if in a hospital, the prime duty of the doctor is to take care of devotees who are take care of the people who are admitted in the hospital. The doctors should not go outside and look for another patients in ignoring those who are admitted in the hospital. So the prime duty of the doctors in the hospital is to go and take care of them. But what happens is that we the doctors, if they neglect that and go outside for looking for patients, what will happen is that the patients will die in the hospital, and we'll get a bad name to the hospital, and And which patient would like to come in that hospital where the patients are neglected and nobody takes care of them? Nobody will come to that hospital. Similarly, in our society as well. I'm sorry, I'm a very insignificant person to say this, but in our society as well, our leaders' first responsibility is to take care of devotees who are already with us, who are already joined, and our duty is to nourish them. And if we don't do that, if we don't do this particular thing of taking care of our existing devotees, what will happen? The patients will die. They will go away. The devotees will give up Krishna consciousness. They will go away. And we might want to have new people joining us. That's fine. But when the doctors are taking good care of the patients in the hospital, naturally the reputation of the hospital grows and the people join. So if we take care of our existing devotees, they're happy in Krishna consciousness, naturally people will like to join us. So ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya has started in 2018 in Govardhan, and we have 100 plus courses on all the writings of Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. We have more than 20,000 students actually who are actually taken courses with us, and we are increasing our activities abroad also. We have students from 42 countries with us, but at the same time now we are opening our branches in the outside world as well. I want to take this platform and wish to inform all of you that we are coming up with branches in Europe and also in the USA. So ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya is expanding. I wish to seek blessings from all of you that our efforts to establish Bhagavad Dharma continues with your blessings. So thank you very much. If there is any queries, any questions, we can take. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So I would like to ask, as you have a few more minutes, so if there is any questions, you can put in the chat or you can raise, we can unmute you. Directly can ask the question in the chat box.
I wanted to ask a question from Bratsundar Prabhu. Bratsundar Prabhu, thank you so much for your analogy of the hospital. It almost shakes us up when you give the analogy of the hospital, and also highlights to us the importance of ensuring that devotees take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bratsundar Prabhu, can you please share with us, when you try to encourage devotees to read Srimad Bhagavatam, what are the typical challenges devotees presented to you in their inability to read Srimad Bhagavatam? And how did the Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya, overcome these challenges to allow and help these devotees to then take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So the main challenges of devotees with respect to studying Srimad Bhagavatam is that the fear they have for Bhagavatam. That because of the vastness of the literature. Literature is so vast, and they know if they start studying that, it is going to be they don't know how long will it take to complete the whole literature, and it is very difficult in the current modernized world full of gadgets and all, where there's a lot of distraction, is to have a continuous study of Bhagavatam. So the obstacles are that they don't remember. Second obstacle, they don't remember what they have studied in the past, because there is no continuity of studying. They study for 2-3 days and it stops. 15 days again they start studying. This has been a big problem. And the first problem, as I said, is that their natural fear is that within there is such a vast literature, and then they have this thing that Srimad Bhagavatam I'm not able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So what Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya does is that we give them 5 techniques of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and whichever suits them, they can adopt to that technique. like there is one weekly method of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. There is one monthly method of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. There is every day 30 minutes you can spend every 30 minutes of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who want to study Srimad Bhagavatam in a story form, that we also encourage. We also have that technique, and also we also give them the timetable for studying. We have a 1 month timetable, 2 months timetable, like that. We have timetables for them to study. So in this way, we encourage, we give them various ways, various options by which they cannot say no to us. And we have this Srimad Bhagavatam reading marathon, which we underwent, which started last year, and 3,100 devotees approximately were studying with us for 6 continuous months. And every Sunday they used to go attend for a quiz. And so we made them to encourage them. We had this small exams in the middle, and so in this way, I was surprised how initially when the reading began, everybody was enthusiastic. So I thought that enthusiasm will go away. But even after 6 months, 8 months down the line, 9 months down the line, even today, still there are devotees who are still appearing for the exams. That means the study is still going on. So our duty is to give the taste of Srimad Bhagavatam to this. When the taste is given to them, then Srimad Bhagavatam will take care of them by itself. Our duty as your duty as education minister, our duty as servants of Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya is simply to help give them the taste for Bhagavatam. Once they got the taste, then there is no stopping. Then it will go on and on and on. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sundar Prabhu. How many teachers or such mentors do you have? The reason I ask is we embarked upon a study and teach program where we enrolled close to 80 plus leaders around the world. And they obviously require also timetables, encouragement. And it means that certain mentors or teachers who can inspire them can be associated with them on a weekly basis to make sure that they keep moving along. How many such teachers do you have, and would they be willing to help the ministry encourage the leaders to read and then teach Bhagavatam?
Yes. So we do so many courses. I told you that right from Jaiva Dharma to Harinam Chintamani, we have all the courses now at ISKCON Bhagavat Mahamandir. There is no course which we haven't done. If you name the book, we have done it. So which is the book which can be discussed amongst the people. So those books of our Gaudiya Vaishnava, we have done them all. But we have teachers for different sections. We have different teachers. But we have a few teachers who are exclusively devoted for Srimad Bhagavatam. So yes, we have them, and we are willing to assist them, assist the ministry, and assist those devotees who wants to study. So yes, we are available to help. We are available to help. We already said that the mission of we are all in contribution to the mission and vision of education ministry. So you are doing a wonderful service. Thank you so much. We are all there to help you, whatever way we can.
Thank you, Brother Sundar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Brother Sundar Prabhu and Tapan Mr. Prabhu, for asking some questions which is particularly relevant for me also. I will get back to you. Now, as we are progressing for this particular session, so we have Brahmatirtha Prabhu will be there, but at 7:30 a.m. Indian time. So right now, those who are in USA, it is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So right now, the next 30 minutes, what we are going to do is very interesting, called the breakout session. And this is a twofold. So this breakout session will be divided into 3 groups, and I will be creating 3 breakout sessions. And the objective of this twofold, one is definitely internal networking, know each other. And second fold is, as you know, our theme of this Viplavah, together towards tomorrow. So what we are going to contribute towards ISKCON's Ministry of Education. And if there are any ideas, specific ideas you have in mind, which you can provide, we can gain insight. So in each group, probably we will spot leaders will choose and they will present. So I will open up for 20 minutes. And then after you come back, 2 minutes, each team, team 1, team 2, team 3, will share what they learned from their discussion within this breakout session. So I'm going to post it, the things which I mentioned here, so that you don't forget. And let me clearly post it here and create the breakout session. Allow me 1 second. So it will be, you can choose your room. As I mentioned, it will be create as the room 1 will be, name is Pan America, breakout room 1, and then add another room, which 1 second. So APJ mean those who are part of in India or Asia Pacific, Singapore or some area, and then there will be third room which will be called EMEA, either Europe or other countries. So 3. So I will request Abhay Prabhu
Madhan
to.
Prabhu, I have a request.
Yes.
Given that it's too early in Europe, a very difficult time zone there, is it not advisable that we just have 2 breakouts, one for North American time zone and one for India and Eastern time zone, so that at least we have participation there?
Yeah, we can do 2.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, APJ and others. Okay. So I am opening those 2 rooms right now, and please join, and we will come back in 20 minutes. I'll set it off. You might be seeing in your screen.
Currently, by default, Prabhu, it's coming for joining the North American, Pan America 1. But in terms of options for Asia Pacific and other India time zone, we see not much option there.
Okay, let me. Let me move some people there. Okay, I'll do some manual work here. So those who are in the call probably give me 1 second. Vikram. So you can choose to different group also if you like to go. So, and if you want to come back here, you can come back. Okay. Okay. Okay, got it. So now we have, how many we have here? Can you hear me still? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
I can.
can you unmute? Okay. So now what you can do is, let me put the, so first thing is, I will give you time. Broadcast, let me put the broadcast messages.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hey,
So
Prabhu.
just,
I'm from Australia. Sorry, I just left out. Can I be put to the other background room, the one which is India and?
okay, what's, just a minute, give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Broadcast message. Oh, sorry, what's your name, you said?
It's Ganesh Shivaji there.
Ganesh Shivaji. So you wanted to go to the other room, right?
The Indian and Eastern side, yeah. Eastern, Asian, South, East Asia, yeah.
Okay, assigned to APJ. Okay.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So now I think you are there to part of the Pan America, North America here, probably. Okay, so can you unmute all of you? Okay, okay. So you might be receiving the message, so please. You wanted to join those who are here? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna is Krishna, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Welcome. Some of you are coming back. That's a good thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, we give 30 seconds to those who are joining back. Did you find any difficulty in coming back or in the breakout session? So what we'll do in the next 6 minutes, 2 minutes, we'll give each team. So because we created 2 teams, so Pan America and APJ. So let me start with APJ team, SA Pacific India. So anyone who was nominated as a leader to share what was the outcome or what was discussed in the meeting?
Hare Krishna, this is Tapan Mishra Das. I was not nominated as a leader, but we just started the discussion amongst ourselves. We had a very enlightening discussion. We had Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj also present with us there. So we heard from Maharaj how they're reaching out to 3,800 children through the education initiative. The ministry has offered to assist Maharaj in training the teachers. Maharaj asked if the teachers there could be trained. And Padma Mukha Nimai Prabhu will be the point of contact, is the point of contact already on behalf of the ministry to offer training to the teachers. So that was one good outcome. And number 2, there was also a discussion on how can devotees participate in becoming teachers, how can they contribute to that. So we discussed about ISKCON Teachers Board, which is being established and very soon, with the 5 objectives, where within the ISKCON Teachers Board, we will start, first of all, making sure that we have more teachers trained, number 1. Number 2, that the ISKCON Teachers Board will ensure that the teachers who are trained are engaged in teaching scriptures, because often teachers who are trained, they do not engage. So we have with us Atul Krishna Prabhu, who's already train more than 1,000 teachers. When we train more teachers, we would like them to be engaged in teaching scriptures. The ISKCON Teachers Board also has the aspiration that it is going to create a sangha of teachers together. When these teachers come together, they are trained, we will provide them an ability to interact with each other. This sangha then will be able to produce more and more curriculum for Srila Prabhupada's books. That's our other objective. The next objective is to have all the qualified teachers recorded in the ministry database so that anybody can come and see who is an authorized teacher, and that standard is kept high. Next, we would like to review the standard, which is the 5th objective, review the standard of current teachers training, update it, and then provide continuous teachers training for the teachers who are associated with the Teachers Board. So that was also discussed. And we had 3 more questions, but then suddenly we were exited without our will back into the main room. So probably we'll be able to take up those questions later on. Thank you, Bali Madan Prabhu.
Well, thank you very much, Roji, for sharing this wonderful thing. And hopefully those 3 questions, we'll take it offline and put my Google Sheet. If they wanted to put it, we will offline address that. Thanks. So is there anyone who would like to volunteer for Pan America, North America zone? It's most welcome. You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself. Don't be shy. Is there?
Yeah, so in the Pan America breakout room, we discussed about the Study and Teach program, because Chandrasekhar Swami brought up a very good point that devotees have the impression that they can only do Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav properly when they come to India, Mayapur, Vrindavan, MIHE, PIHE. And we just kind of discussed how the ministry is trying its best to inspire devotees at a grassroots level to pursue Shastric education. Maharaj said it's very difficult, very daunting to read philosophy, especially our philosophy, because you have to be in a certain state of mind. You have to be in the mode of goodness. You can't be in the mode of passion or ignorance. Otherwise, you get too bored, or you feel like you need to be doing more, go on like book distribution or something. So yeah, when devotees learn Bhakti Shastri with their local leaders, devotees who inspire them, because that essentially what Study and Teach is. Devotees who are leaders in their local community decide to become a teacher. They recruit 6 or 8 students in their community, and they start reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So yeah, that's something we're trying to push, and we discussed, how Padma-Mukuni Mahaprabhu is a very integral part of it. He gives them Teachers Training Course 1, Teachers Training Course 2, and BSTDC. And with that, they're set up for success. And within 6 to 8 months, depending on the frequency of the classes, more and more devotees will become Bhakti Shastri accredited. And the last bit that we discussed before we were pulled out, like Prabhu said, against our will, Chandrasekhar Maharaj agreed to be a part of a Books of the Basis program, Books of the Basis week next year. He said he'll be a speaker, so that's good.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you, our Charan Prabhu. Wonderful. He's our one of key members, Ministry of Education. So next we have, I know it was a little short time for all of you to interact and also provide the insights, but nevertheless, we are able to capture the important and essential points. So the last session of this particular morning one on December 10th is graced by Brahmatirtha Prabhu, and he completed his bachelor's in chemistry in Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute 71 and received MS in geology from Rutgers University in 75. After a 20-year career serving as a geologist and vice president of a large regional environmental company, he currently works as an environmental consultant to state governments. He has been a member of the Bhaktivedanta Institute since the inception in 1976, giving a presentation at their first international conference on Life Comes from Life in 1977, and working on a multitude of projects with R.L. Thompson Sarvabhuta Prabhu from 95 through 2008. He's also a certified court mediator. He serves as the director of the Bhaktivedanta Institutes for Higher Studies. So we'd like to welcome His Grace Brahmatirtha Prabhu for today's sessions. So you are a co-host now, Prabhu. If you are willing to share any slide deck or anything, you are most welcome to do so.
And just I'll give a last presentation. I'll make it brief, and then I'll leave plenty of time for questions. And I'm very honored to be here, and I appreciate all the organizers of this, especially the work that Tapan Mishra is doing among his many other duties, trying to pull it together. And my friend Chandrasekhar Swami, I see too. The Bhaktivedanta Institute is an unusual entity in ISKCON. It's the only entity that Prabhupada said to the BBT, give them whatever money they want, and it doesn't have to be loans. Of course, that doesn't quite happen. But anyway, nevertheless, we do get funded by the BBT, and things go on. The last few years of Prabhupada's life, he focused a lot on the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And then a book came out that shouldn't have come out. And that book is called Life Comes from Life. That book came out after Prabhupada left. And I assume almost all of you are familiar with the book. So how do I say this clearly? That BBT is in the process of withdrawing the book. Now, this may be shocking, and we have all this about book changes and all this. Has nothing to do with that. We are redoing the book now at the BI. So what went wrong? And there's a reason I'm telling this story. The original book was produced by Hamsadutta Prabhu. Now, Hamsadutta was a very fiery preacher in areas of science, and a good preacher. I mean, I knew him quite well. He also went much further than Prabhupada in bashing science. So Prabhupada went on all these walks with Srup Damodar Maharaj. And at Cheviot Hills Park, a lot of them occurred in Los Angeles. And Prabhupada would praise scientists, as he did in Easy Journey to Other Planets and in various Bhagavatam purports. And he sometimes smashed them for atheistic philosophical conclusions. Hamsadutta then translated these conversations into German and produced a German edition for reasons that none of us have been able to trace out. The English edition of Life Comes from Life was not Prabhupada's original words. Rather, it was translated from German back to English. And our Stita D. Muni, who has a PhD in the history of science, published a paper on this, proving it. We have the original transcripts, we have the original manuscripts, we have the corrected manuscripts, and absolutely proven. And the BBT has accepted this, and we are in the process of redoing the book according to what Prabhupada said. Now, again, this doesn't take us to the book changing. First, that book came out after Prabhupada had left us. And so that condition of not changing after the author has passed on is not relevant. And second, we went through it in detail and we bet a pizza pie. We had a pizza pie gamble because betting pizzas, turns out, is not violating the regulative principles somehow. So, and we challenged some of our scientists, can you find 5 words that Prabhupada actually said? Because our initial reader couldn't. And Druta Karma won the pizza and found one time 5 words that Prabhupada actually said. So we still owe him a pizza. So we're redoing Life Comes from Life. The reason I begin with that is because there's a lot of misconceptions among devotees on science. Science is not the enemy. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's the friend. Prabhupada said there's a pinprick in society of all these wonderful inventions, but the pinprick is obviously the missing metaphysical principles. So now I'll do a PowerPoint, but I wanted to give a little introduction. And here we go. And Bhaktivedanta Institute. On top, you can see we have the Big Bang as the theory is presented, and on the bottom, evolution as it's presented. So this is what we have to deal with. So the Bhaktivedanta Institute. We're going to talk about the purpose, the history, some current initiatives, and a vision for the future, and allow some time for question and answers. It was founded in 1975. The first conference on Life Comes from Life was in 1977, 1 month before Prabhupada left us. You see the picture in the lower left. That's the 5 scientists, Gyana, Srup Damodar, myself, Madhava, and Sariputta. Of those 5, the only one left either alive and still actively involved in ISKCON is that silly looking guy in the center. And I show this for 2 reasons. One, that's how we began. And this is taken in Vrindavan. Prabhupada was very proud of us in our suits and ties. In fact, when we walked in his room one night, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Prabhupada, your scientists are here. They have their suits and ties. Prabhupada couldn't see very well by that time. His eyesight had failed. And so Tamal Krishna Maharaj described it, and Prabhupada goes, get them chairs. And Srup Damodar Maharaj said, we don't need chairs. It's on the floor. Prabhupada said, get them chairs. but there were only 2 chairs. So 2 of us sat on one chair, 2 on the other, and one of us squatted halfway down pretending he was on a chair. What can we do? Now, there are various iteration and branches of the BI from 77 to present, and BI splintered, and there are reasons why, and I was sometimes participating in the BI, sometimes an observer. Mostly I was Sariputta's companion. He is the most brilliant of any of the BI devotees. He was brilliant at the intellect, and Sri Damodar Maharaj was absolutely brilliant at meeting the important Nobel laureates and getting them favorable to the movement. So our BI is built on their shoulders. If we look tall, it's because Sri Damodar Maharaj and Sariputta are holding us up. Now, about 7, 8 years ago, several of us who were friends of Sariputta decided to bring his books back into print. And all the books are now in print. That was done through the Richard Thompson, that's a typo. It should be Richard L. Thompson, not RTLA, but RLTA, Richard L. Thompson Archives. And we formed this archives. We got from his widow all of his unpublished papers, all of his literature. We've turned that over to the BRC in Calcutta. And we started working together and realized, let's try to get the BI going again. And some physicists had joined us, and somehow or other, we were able to get some things going. We did a few conferences. Hey, we can really do a conference. Then we decided to reach out to the world. In 1975, Prabhupada sent a letter, and you can see it there. We require many PhDs for our BI higher studies. In 76, he sent out this letter to all the GBCs, send us all of your scientists and PhDs, and you see the 5 of us that showed up. So we did the same thing that Prabhupada said to do in 2019. And the picture's a little blurry, but you see there's 50 of us in that picture. And every single week, without fail, at least one more PhD is writing me saying, I want to work with you. And that is kind of how we revived it. Now we're at an educational conference, and the BI's main purpose is education. We educate several audiences. One, the devotee audience, on what the relationship between science and religion. 2, the general audience, and we're producing books now. I'll get to that in a little bit. For the general audience, even Sankirtan books on consciousness and related topics. And 3, we have a science audience, to the scientists of the world. For example, at our 2019 conference, there's a fellow, Stuart Hamroff, who is the #1 scholar on consciousness in terms of running the largest annual convention that looks at consciousness and science. Now, his own theory of consciousness is nothing I would subscribe to, but he is #1, and he was our keynote speaker. We were very fortunate to get him. Turns out his college roommate was Kaladri, and he's extremely favorable. And Murli Gopal, one of our PhDs, has spoken at his conference a few times. So moving on, this is our Conscious in Science, our 2019 conference. 450 people came for the opening night. The mayor gave the initial address, and then we broke out the next 2 days for registrants, which was limited to 150. And it was co-sponsored by the University of Florida Center for Studies in the Hindu Traditions. Now, this is a very important letter. I'm just going to read a little piece of it, but it's on the screen for you. Prabhupada was appealing to go to the intelligent class of men. And he says, and note these words, because they are a little educated, or they've got some wealth or fame or ability, they will become puffed up. And Prabhupada says, but that is all right, they deserve it. And that is the way Srup Damodar Maharaj, by the way, got all the Nobel laureates and top scientists to come to his conferences, because he gave them that respect that Prabhupada instructed way back in 72. So we will have to learn the art, how to approach us higher class men and attract them to apply themselves. This requires tact, and we'll have to expect to meet all challenges by sharp minds. And then Prabhupada reminds us how Lord Chaitanya was such a good listener when he won over various sadhus. So, so our approach is to respect the scientists, but not to mince words either. Now, if anybody has one leg, you know how difficult it is to hop around. And some of you may have had a broken leg. I've had one. And hopping around is not fun. It's difficult. If the scientists are often hopping on one leg, because the two legs are physics and metaphysics. And if we leave out the metaphysics, the philosophical leg, then we end up with infinite regressions and sometimes just utter nonsense. So the key to the BI is to combine science and philosophy. And part of our mission is to educate devotees in how to marry science and philosophy. Now, one area we're working on is evolution narratives. We're working with the TOVP on their exhibits. Another area is the fifth canto. Now, the fifth canto has created many controversies. Sariputta brilliantly took 4 verses from the fifth canto and explained how these 4 verses predict how far Mars is from Venus, something that wasn't known, how far all the planets are from each other, something that wasn't known to modern science till about 1860. Some rough measurement of the distances, telescopes weren't refined. But the Bhagavatam does it. There are so many amazing mysteries in the fifth canto. We have 1,000 years of scholarship to work on it. There are 2 extreme dangers in dealing with the fifth canto. One is to write it off as some mythology. And that prevents us from digging deeper into giving us a glimpse of the Puranic world. The other danger is just to take it in a so-called literal way. And I say so-called, I'll explain that in a moment, and just become flat earthers or some other fundamentalist view of the world. The reason I say so-called is when Prabhupada was writing the fifth canto, this is well known, he called for pundits to come and help him. He told a few of his secretaries, this is not my particular area. I'm going to need some help. And several pundits came to see Prabhupada, and each one was goofier than the next. And the one pundit who the devotees thought could really help, when they finally reached his ashram, he had just died. But Krishna has empowered many devotees, Sariputta among them, to really dig into the fifth canto. And we have at least 10 astrophysicists, devotee astrophysicists working on the BI. And we're making some we hope to follow Sariputta's example on unravel more of the mysteries of the sacred universe. Now, I was talking about this a little before. Vaishnava theology, philosophy, and metaphysics. We're dealing with all of these. If we don't have theology, philosophy, metaphysics, then the science, cosmology, consciousness, all of this becomes for naught. So again, The key for the BI is combining these ideas, philosophy, science, metaphysics. Now, for the 21st century, what are we doing? Well, we established a headquarters in Gainesville. I'll show it to you soon. It used to be the president's mansion for the University of Florida, President Tigert. And he retired in 1949. And then he was recruited by Nehru to go to India and reestablish the higher education system in India since the British had left. So it's curious that we have that connection to India. So we've established a headquarters. We have a large library now, large, not that large, 6,000 books, but many of them rare. Several professors, devotee and non-devotee professors, have donated their libraries to us. Here's a picture taken at the library. Many of you know Akandadi is there, and Pranada, and I think Vishaka is there. We are trying to develop, one of our goals is to develop scientific literacy within the devotional community. One of our teachers, who was a very prominent research professor at the University of Alberta, has left that job and come to teach science at the Gurukula at New Ramanreti, with the specific purpose of giving scientific literacy to the next generation of devotees. So we hope to do local science Sangha programs and obviously producing relevant literature. This is our headquarters. It used to be the president's house for the University of Florida. It was kindly donated to us by Hariday Nanda Maharaj's Family Trust, and a very generous donation. It's it's the most stately mansion in Gainesville. It's quite famous. We realize when we're dealing with the science that the scientists, without again introducing the metaphysics, do have this problem. I thought I had the answer to meaning of life, but everything canceled out. So we're trying to avoid that. And to go on, we are producing various literatures. One is the Atma Paradigm by Akandadi. It's a 30-part lecture series that you just Google Atma Paradigm on YouTube. It's brilliant. It combines modern science, Sankhya, and various other themes of consciousness. We're doing a book for Sankirtan called Leaps of Faith and Doubt. Krishna and the Quark is finished. It's waiting for the North European BBT to print it. The Globe, Earth, and Bhagavatam. Sadly, there is a percentage of devotees that think that the Earth is flat. And so we took we have a 300-page book that's in pre-press now. We take it from Prabhupada quotes, Bhagavatam, modern science, and Yogeshwar's son wrote a chapter. He's a captain for an airline and sees the curvature of the earth. So we examine, what does the globe mean in the Bhagavatam? The vertical dimensions of Bhumandala, I won't go into that now, but a very, very important work done by our Dwisha Govinda, who's in Kiev, Ukraine. We're publishing the proceedings from our 2019 conference. We're producing another book on Puranic cosmology. And one of our colleagues, Gopinath, is working on he's a physician, has some grants, working on, when you chant Hare Krishna, what does it do to heart rate variability? Showing the many physiological benefits. Others have produced literature on the psychological benefits. And we're considering a Prabhupada on Science series. So with that, I will conclude my presentation on who the BI is and what we're doing. I want to add one more thing. It's painful to see splintering in our movement. And the BI has unfortunately ended up fairly splintered over the years. So what we've done, when we did our 2019 conference, we invited anybody who could identify as BI in any way to come. We gave them tickets to come. Two of Sri Damodar Maharaj's sannyasis came, and it worked out very well. Even two of those devotees who were in that original 1977 picture and left ISKCON, they came. So we've established some tight relationships, because the key for the BI is mutual respect. And we work closely. We have a chapter in Bombay. We work closely with the Institute for Spirituality and Science in Delhi. We're doing work with Leela Purushottama at IIT Mundi. So we're trying to be a unifying but not a controlling force of those devotees who are trying to pursue higher understanding of science and religion. With that, I'll stop, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Brahmatita Prabhu, my obeisances. This is Tapan Mishra Das. Thank you for the presentation. I have a few questions, actually, and I'll fire them straight away. Number one, what can you trickle feed to the mainstream devotees within ISKCON, and the ministry will be happy to propagate that? What small trickle feed literature can you provide that can generate the awareness amongst topics such as the relationship between science and spirituality? I recall in 97, 98, one publication that really impressed me while I was studying at an institute. It was called Origins, the magazine. A beautifully printed, amazing magazine. And that sort of made me relate to this movement. So do you have plans for such literature, which we could trickle feed?
Well, yeah, in some of the books I listed, it included, I want to stop the share. It included books such as Leaps of Faith and Doubt and Krishna and the Quark. Rameshwar Prabhu produced the original Origin magazine, and he approached us and asked us to update it. It was updated about 10 years ago, not a thorough update. Some of the science in there is quite dated, and some of the arguments given, there are newer arguments. And in the science world, we have to be somewhat relevant. So we looked at it deeply, and we realized we couldn't really update Origin. It stands on its own. We think it can still stay in print. And the update from 10 years ago was an improvement. So instead of producing the Origin magazine, we're going to be producing these literatures that I talked about.
My question was slightly different. As you know, that devotees do get overwhelmed with large books. A magazine, shorter articles, essays, which we can trickle feed through the Ministry of Education to the various educators, centers, ISKCON devotees, and encourage them to read. Obviously, education in the field of science is going to be an effort. It would be faced with, as you know already, some obstacles in the minds of the devotees, but gradually we can get there. So that was one idea, shorter literature. The second is, I spoke to you last year, and I'm still hopeful that sometime in the near future, possibly by 2024, we can organize a joint conference in Mayapur during Gaur Purnima, where part of Viplavah, we hope to have it physically done. Probably we can dedicate one day entirely. May I request the organizers to please mute everybody who's not raised their hand?
Okay.
Sorry, Brahmatita Prabhu. I was mentioning about a symposium in Mayapur, or even online, if we can organize earlier, where we invite ISKCON educators to also start appreciating topics with respect to what has been done in Bhaktivedanta Institute. And probably in this symposium, you're speaking, but in the next one, we'll also like to have something presented from the individual contributors to the literature, if that makes sense.
This is a very good question. And of course, we did talk about this. The answer to answer both questions. First, we're happy to participate, and we do everything hybrid now. Some in person, some Zoom. That's the world we live in. It's going to stay that way. Now we have Zoom lag instead of jet lag. So, because we have all these weird times for Zoom meetings. Anyway, that being said, some of the literatures we produce are ordinary literatures for ordinary devotees. Prabhupada on Science Series, Leaps of Faith and Doubt, even parts of the Atma Paradigm, which will be multiple volumes. The first volume will be a much simpler volume on just the nature of consciousness. So we're speaking to several audiences, not necessarily an audience who already has their PhD. We need to appeal to that audience. Prabhupada wanted intelligent people to come. We want to appeal to the general audience, just general devotee audience, who are very well educated, but not necessarily in the sciences. We want to also appeal to the general audience of just the ordinary people that Sankirtan devotees meet. We've had books in the past, such as Consciousness, The Missing Link, and books on sustainability that are useful for the Sankirtan devotees. So the BBT is asking us, hey, we need some books the Sankirtan devotees can hand out. We're also going to be publishing in academic journals, and we have the first edition of our own internal academic journal, which is a great place to teach devotees how to publish in academic journals by doing it in our own journal, where they get reviewed and peer reviewed and edited and style of presentation presented, so they can go and publish in standard referee journals. And that's very important. Sadhaputta did several articles, and it made a huge impact when he could present in regular journals, because that's what people expect. So what I'm talking about is not dumbing down what we're saying. I don't want to give the impression that we're going to try to dumb it down for the ordinary folks out there, because we're all in the same boat, but we're presenting it according to the time, place, and circumstance. That's what we're doing. So what you're asking needs to be done, and the BBT is pressuring us to do that. We have two main BI work groups right now. One is the cosmology work group, which we have at least a dozen, maybe 20 scientists working in, supporting the TOVP, sometimes opposing what the TOVP is doing, but working with them. And that's headed by a brilliant mathematician, Prishni Dasi, who's here with us. And then we have another large group, that's run by Kunal Muli out of Caltech. And that's our group that studies consciousness. And they're particularly working on the mind-brain interface and ways to demonstrate that the mind subtle body is different than the gross body. We're starting at that point. So we have two main work groups. And then from that, we want to develop literature for these various markets. I'm sitting here as a director thinking, how am I going to get all this done? But Krishna, it's only Krishna can make it happen. And new people keep joining all the time. So that helps.
Thank you, Prabhu. We'll take one more question from Rajraj Govinda, Prabhu. He raises a question. What about devotees with a brilliant intellect, but without a PhD? Can the ministry or BIHS train such people?
Of course. I have a master's degree. So a PhD is not required. One of our top scientists working with us is a Kandidi, who's a philosopher and brilliant. And I don't even think he has a bachelor's degree, and he's a regular commentator on the BBC. So it's not, somebody has to be well-read, has to understand the scientific methods, has to be some philosophical astuteness. But our goal is to train devotees. We have very limited resource. So our higher priority is to produce literatures. It's at our board of directors meetings. It's definitely, the board is pushing me that our priority is to offer training. So we want to do that. I've put my email in the chat. If anyone wants to write me personally, they can write, or have questions on what I said. You're welcome to write me personally.
Thank you, Brahmatirtha Prabhu. I'll hand it back to Balimadhan Prabhu to bring the session to a closure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for inviting me. I see there's more questions in the chat I couldn't answer, but please write me personally and I'll try to do what I can. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Brahmatirtha Prabhu, for this wonderful session. And you have your email ID in the chat. People can definitely reach out separately. So I would like to just give you a quick snapshot here, two things. Could you please see my screen, by the way?
Not yet, Prabhu. We are able to see you, but not the screen.
Okay. Now you're able to see?
Now something is coming up, yes.
Yeah. So one is just wanted to update. It's 6:30 p.m. today again, India time. We'll have another session, 2 hours. So there are 4. So I would like to welcome you all to join. And also there is a poll, which is might be seeing in your Zoom chat box or something. Please answer. It's a very 2 question. It may take 15 seconds. So I hope 15 people have already participated. I would request others to also provide your input there.
And just quickly, the evening session is going to be quite exciting. We have 4 speakers, 1 from Hungary, 1 from Italy, 1 from South America, and 1 again from North America. So please join. You don't necessarily have to register. Now there's a link that is circulated. You invite your friends and fellow devotees who can come and hear from these educators. Thank you. Look forward to seeing everybody in a few hours from now.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So would you like to chant this Vancha Kalpataru, Tapan Mr. Prabhu?
Yes, it's always a pleasure to chant pranams to the Vaishnavas. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and everybody who could join. See you in the evening, India time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.